Matt LaRocca. What's happening, brother?
What's up, Heath? How are you? Everything good?
Man, I am good. Okay, LaRocca, what's that? What's the family origin on that?
Love it. Yeah, so being in and let's just say in Cleveland and going out to Denver for like the last sales kickoff conference, everyone's like, oh, LaRocca this, LaRocca. I'm like, it's Italian, it's Sicilian, it's actually Southern Sicilian,
Yeah.
Palermo to be specific. Family roots, yeah. So family roots are from Sicily. Family came over to Brooklyn and Queens, New York. And
Yeah.
now the LaRoccas have branched off. Now we're in Long Island, we're in Philadelphia, we're all over the place at this point. We're
There
trying
you
to
go.
we're trying to establish our roots everywhere at this point.
So, you big Italian family, like both sides of your family, like Italian, or was that dad's side, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's pretty interesting. So my wife, she's Filipino, and
Oh, nice.
I did not know about this going into our relationship of like meeting with her and her family that they're a huge family. There's hundreds of them. There's like probably too many of the of her side of the family.
Yeah.
But then she comes over to my side for Thanksgiving or for Christmas, and she's like, I thought this was going to be like The Sopranos, where it's just a huge entire family, and all there
Yeah.
is just a few of you guys. I mean, we, I guess from my own family, we have a small family, but when you see on TV, when you see in the movies, and when you
The
hear from everyone
Italians.
else, everyone, it's a huge family, but the Roccas, we're small. Best way to
There
put
you go.
it.
That's funny. Okay, do you ever get back to Italy at all?
No, we
Yeah.
were supposed to go, but me and my wife, we actually just went to Spain recently, but and it's close by. But now
Yeah.
that's something I really would like to go to. All my friends talk about going there. Everyone goes, and I'm just living vicariously through them, through Instagram at
That's
this
funny.
point. Then
Yeah,
too.
there you go. There you go. Well, let's take a little walk down memory lane a little bit. Let's see. Let's let the audience know who Matt is, and we'll go from there, brother.
Sounds good. Yeah. So pretty funny story. So I used to sell Arizona iced tea cans. So I used to go from Arizona iced tea and was filling up the different types of gas station chains with those 99-cent cans. Then they started adding these twist off bottles, and unfortunately they went from 99 cents now to 119. So they're trying to rob us at this point. But we gone from there, and then actually my buddy, who actually Danny Lawrence, he actually works for Glovebox now. He brought me in the industry into AgencyZoom about 3 years ago, and I was like, "What is this? What is a CRM? What is AgencyZoom?" But I think it was probably the best decision for me to actually follow his advice and say, "Hey, jump on the wagon, see what this is all about." So yeah, started right actually yeah December 2020, started with the AgencyZoom, and we went through the whole BDR to an AE, and then we were told, hey, well, we're actually getting acquired. And the funny story about that is I've actually bought my house the day that AgencyZoom was acquired by Vertifor, and I thought, oh, like I live in Cleveland, Ohio, just to give a context behind this. But I thought I was had to move after we just got acquired. I'm like, oh, am I moving to Denver with everyone else? Like, what's going on here? But yeah, no, it's been fun. Ever since we've been acquired by Vertifor, AgencyZoom has just taken off like a rocket. It's done really well. We've had a great team, and no, been enjoying my time here so far.
Yeah, dude. Agency Zoom is probably one of the sexiest products out there, especially in the Vertifor ecosystem, and it's fantastic. I mean, I'm new as my audience knows. I'm pretty. I guess you'd say new to Vertifor. I've been there a little while now, but
Mhm.
that's one of the things that when I first came over, it's just the more and more. I mean, I always knew it was a cool product, and I've known some of the guys, Mo, and some of those guys for before I ever came here. But man, some of the stuff that you can do with that CRM is just sexy, and it's just fun, and it's just it's a game changer for an agency. In so many years as a former agency owner and producer and myself at agencies, like I always just heard about the agency management system and never really thought about the CRM and putting the
Mhm.
two together and whatnot. And I'm sure you hear some of that too in your sales calls and whatnot, and like introducing folks to that. But that's like, I guess we'd start there for a minute. So going from the T to this, like what has been, I mean, sales is sales, I get that. But when you get into insurance and the agency world and like talking to those people, what's the big difference you've seen there in that?
Well, for me, for moving from the beverage the beverage industry to move into insurance, I mean, I had to learn a new language. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the biggest hurdle for me just right off the bat. But like you said, I mean, sales is sales. I mean, that's going to travel from all different types of avenues that you can go down into with it, which is great. But the biggest hurdle for me was learning how to really gain, I guess you could say, credibility right away. And it was a lot of going on these different demos with AgencyZoom, or learning
Yeah.
about the management systems, and learning about raters, voice over IPs, learning about how, what exactly is, how is the information coming from the carrier to the management system. I
Yeah.
mean, like this, that, I mean, I know it's basic information, but that was my biggest learning curve. And I thought for the first month and a half to 2 months, my head was going to explode from the amount of
Yeah.
information I was trying to take in, right? But yeah, no, it's been a huge. That was my learning curve, and it has propelled me to to be where I'm at right now, where as I'm learning as much as I can, and obviously having the opportunity to speak with you on this as well too, and being able to learn from other networks or learn from other agencies of how
Yeah.
they're managing their processes is right. I mean, they're business owners and they run their agencies. Everyone is different. I mean, I learned this actually a couple of weeks ago. If you've seen one independent agency, you've only seen one independent agency. If you've seen the captive, you've seen all of them, right? So
Yeah.
everybody is different. So
Yeah.
that was learning from the beginning, and where I'm at now, it's still I'm still in that learning curve, right? I'm trying to get as much knowledge as I can on this type of industry too. So never stop learning.
Yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's the thing, that I've been in this industry 20 more, I don't even know, a long time, 20 plus years. And just when you figure it out, or you think you figured it out, you haven't. It changes so much. And that is the beauty of our industry, that for me, I'm ADHD. I can't focus on shit to save my life. It's one of those things that I struggle with. But it being in insurance and having so many different things change, things coming at you from all different directions, I'm able to, stay engaged and enjoy. Have you noticed some of that too? And, from the beverage industry of going in the same convenience store, selling the same cans, and then now you're talking to all these different independent agencies. Has that been something that you've enjoyed?
No, I loved it. It's opened up my, I guess, my abilities to how I can work with networks to
Yeah.
agencies, and finding out different ways of how to talk and how to sell to those specific, really niches in this case. But that's been a huge, like I said before, it was a huge battle to get into it. But now it's opened up my own horizons of how we can move forward with AgencyZoom, and how we can then move in specific targets, or maybe working with those specific agencies that need the automation from prospecting, right? Or maybe they need to learn a little bit more about how to manage their renewals. And as you may know, I mean, everything changes, like with these hard markets. Or hey, we need to then work on with these rates that are going through the roof at this point. How do we combat that? And I feel like by month to month, or by quarter to quarter, my speech or my walkthroughs of AgencyZoom changes, because I have to learn. I learn more from the producers, but then sometimes when I'm on these calls, I mean, we speak to CSRs and they're blown away from what AgencyZoom can do. And maybe that AgencyZoom might be, yes, it is tailored to the sales processes, but maybe it might be a little bit more tailored to the CSRs and benefiting the back end
Yeah.
of the office and helping out with managing renewals or service and claims. So there's a lot of avenues. And then, like I said, it changes every couple of weeks, or every a month or quarter or so. And that is going to be, that's for me and anyone else joining or moving into the insurance industry or insure tech industry. You're going to have to be on your toes 24/7 at this point.
Yeah, you brought up some really cool things I wanted to get into. Okay, so yeah, you're right. The CRM, most people think about when I talk to agencies, agency management systems usually used day to day by the CSRs, the account
Mm-hmm.
managers. The producers typically are the ones that are using the CRMs. But you just brought up something like, when you do get to talk to CSRs or account managers or some of the more service oriented staff, they do get blown away. What are some of those things, those top 2 or 3 things that blow them away, that you're like, whoa, what are some of those sales things that you bring up with them?
Sure. I'll actually use an example that went through yesterday. So
Yeah, dude.
I spoke with an agency yesterday. We had the principal, we had the office manager, and we also had their sales lead for commercial side, and then their top CSR, all on the call just to walk through AgencyZoom. We walk through the whole process of how you manage your leads, how you're managing your customers, of onboarding them. And they're like, okay, yeah, this is great. I like to see what we have. But then when we got over to our service center, that's been our newest, our largest piece that we've added in the last year and a half or so with AgencyZoom, is really to help manage those renewals, right? And when I was speaking with them, I asked them, hey, like, how do you manage those renewals today? And they had a management system, but they weren't really utilizing it, and not much other tech as well that was included in the agency. So when we got to talking, I found out that they're pulling the data from the carriers, then they're pulling the data from the management systems. Then they're having to, pull those reports to say, hey, 90 days prior to their renewal, we want to then start reaching out to those opportunities to manage that, renewal for that policyholder. And then from there, you would have to then segment that out to all your CSRs and assign it to them. Then the CSR needs to pull that list and have that list in front of them and start calling them or emailing them and texting them to make sure we're going to be renewing, right? And going through these hard markets, people are going to start shopping around. But with all those different steps, that's a burden for a lot of people. And that's where AgencyZoom, we don't need to pull those reports from your management system. We can, but we don't need to. But we're pulling the expiration date from that specific policy.
Yep.
And we're having an automated email to say, hey, Heath, your auto policy is going to be expiring shortly. Let's find some time to reconnect. And we could be right now talking on this podcast, and I can have those emails sent out to save you an agency with 7 users or 7 employees. You could save about 20 to 30 hours a week across the board because of the automation and the time saving on those reports that we're pulling to.
Dude, you're exactly right. And so for those CSRs, that's one of the things that I do think is cool about, AgencyZoom, about any CRM for that matter, but with, having those different buckets, or if you want to call them pipelines or funnels or whatever that may be. But
Sure.
so the automation is one of the things that really helped them to kind of click in of like, wow, CRM can really help me here, as opposed to, and again, agency management systems are critical for an agency, obviously, but the functionality there is, you can be able to see the data in there, it's there and what it can do. But when you got the CRM, now you can do something with that. You can send out the automations.
Exactly.
You can do those types of things. And so when you're talking to things, what do you see in as far as right now? Are people using more text, more email, or yes, both? Like what's the more effective way people are communicating right now you're seeing?
So I would say I don't know, let's just say about 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, probably was mainly email. But I mean, if my wife was ever going to text me or reach out to me for anything, she's not emailing me, she's texting me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the best way, in my opinion, now, where you are going to have a greater chance to connect with that policyholder or even with that prospect through text, right? And throughout AgencyZoom, we have those integrations where we can send out, just say, if you're going through an automated process and you have 10 steps, I would say 6 to 7 of those steps should be through a text message to get in touch with them. You could add an email in there here and there, but the text messages are going to be that attention grabber, or the more likely of a chance for that prospect or that customer to be reaching out. And you mentioned too, taking that data from the management system, like that's going back into, hey, the differences between an AMS and a CRM, but taking the data from your management systems with AMS 360, QQ, you got Hawksoft, EasyLinks, NowCert, Applied, all that, pulling that data and implementing it into a CRM like AgencyZoom to take advantage of the data that you hold on to. And if you don't, you're just holding onto the data and you're still doing the same thing. You're emailing or you're texting or you're calling, but AgencyZoom takes advantage and really propels you guys because of we're taking advantage of the data that you guys are pulling in from your management systems too.
Yeah, I just know in my own life, obviously, we're all on our phones all the time, and I'm on mine constantly. If it wasn't for this and wasn't the text messages and the updates and the whatever, I don't know that I would have even a decent credit score, a good credit score for that matter, because, I get messages from my credit card company. Hey, your bill is due tomorrow. Make sure you make this payment. Click here. Or, my, auto loan or my electric bill for that matter. That one came in this morning of like, pay, click here to pay your energy bill or whatever it might be. And so like I can imagine the same thing as consumers are going through it. You could send out a message, hey, your auto policy comes up for renewal next month. Let's talk about it. Or your workers' comp or your this or your homeowners or, whatever. I could imagine, that could be a powerful thing. And people are like, oh, people don't want to see those text messages. Why not? I mean, I never thought I would. I mean, I don't wake up in the morning and think, oh man, I can't wait to get a text message from my, energy company or my, my credit card company, but I need it because I forget. I go through my day and, I imagine, actually, I know for a fact back in my 20s, I had a terrible credit score because I'd forget. I'd go weeks and months without paying my credit card bill. And then I got interest piling up and I got this and I'm like, crap. So now I imagine how important that is. People do want that. And, you can get creative with some of the messages. And that's another thing I wanted to know. Like as a CRM system, like I know, you could do a lot of different things, whichever one you're on. But I know with AgencyZoom, you guys are able, y'all have like canned automated responses that you have already put in and canned, funnels and pipelines or, whatever. But you can get in those customize those as well. But what are some of the canned ones that you guys see or that put out there and what works? And what do you suggest for people? How many funnels should they have? How many pipelines? Kind of answer that at whatever level you want to. I asked like 7 questions in one, but that's the way my brain works.
You might have. No, but we're good. So a couple things then. So yes, AgencyZoom, we do have the canned automation that's built in, right? We have it for prospecting. We also have it for onboarding of your newest customers and embedded into AgencyZoom. And I would say through there, I believe in in the prospecting for new leads, we have about 8 to 9 different steps included. In there right now, we have 5 text messages, 2 emails, and the rest of it will just be making sure that you're following up with a call, right? So obviously we're not just making sure we're only texting, we're not just emailing, we're also calling directly from AgencyZoom, and we could track those all inside of one solution, trying to make it more of the hub for the agency, right? So we'll have the automation built into there. And I would say then from there, with that automation, we see agencies have growing because of the amount of text messages that they're sending out to their prospects. I mean, I actually was looking at a house recently, and if the guy was going to be emailing me about, hey, here's some other homes in the area, I probably wouldn't look at it. But if I'm here on my phone, I can get a text message that I can open it up, and I'm like, okay, now I'm engaged. And I'm not just saying it because I like texting more, but the texting is going to be absolutely critical. Because it's easier to open up. You don't need to go in multiple different apps. I mean, it just pops up right on that screen or my phone in this case, then to open up that text message. But yeah, I would say having enough, but not too many text messages to be sent out will be critical. And agencies, we don't really have to say, here's our, the number one process of how to go about it, but we provide you with those building blocks to be successful right off the bat. And to kind of go back into one other piece you mentioned was those different stages of AgencyZoom and our different types of pipelines. For me personally, I make sure that when I'm walking through a demonstration, it's no more than 3 stages before we get to sold. If it's prospecting, we've contacted them or we've quoted them. Or let's just say from new leads to quoted, not close. And then the last stage would be move them over to sold. But I've seen agencies that I've walked onto a call with them, and I've seen, one pipeline that has 15 different stages. And when I see that, my eyes just start spinning. I'm like, that could be a little bit too much. I mean, everyone's different. I get it. But if I'm speaking with a brand new agency as a let's say a scratch agent or someone who is just trying to revamp their entire tech stack, do I want to give them more data or do I want to give them more pipelines to say, oh yeah, but you can customize, you could have 20 pipelines and 20 stages. They're going to be like, I don't want to use this. This is too much going on. I'm doing it. I'm running an agency. I got to make my employees happy. I also have other stuff that's going on maybe back at home. We try to make it as simple as we possibly can for these agencies. And that's why we build out the automation and we keep it. When you first open up AgencyZoom, 3 stages: new, contacted, quoted, and sold. well, 4 stages, I guess you could say, for the sold
Yeah.
category.
And so the Matt Larocca's advice would be less is more when it comes to your stages.
Correct. Yes.
So
To
agents
summarize
listening
that,
right
yes.
now. Yeah. So agents listening right now and they're trying to think about their pipeline and their thing. Matt's going to tell them, okay, let's think about this from, okay, you get them in the door and then what do you do? And then from there, what do you do? And then from there it goes to sold. And so you're trying to walk them through that.
Correct. Yeah, and we have those pipelines for on the gaining new business. We also have, and I mentioned earlier on with our service center to help manage those renewals too, because we could have different pipelines to say, okay, I'm going to make a process up, but let's say if like an auto policy, reach out 30 days prior, and maybe if they respond back, then you can move over to a different stage, or maybe that you see that their rates are going through the roof, or a 15 to 20% increase. We can drag them from that new renewal, so 30 days prior, we can drag them to a 15% or 20% increase in their rates and then begin more automation, right? So AgencyZoom was originally created for the prospecting, but I think it's the most important tool is going to be the service center to help manage those renewals, the communication for service requests, to say adding a new car, or maybe if they're looking for additional ID cards, I mean, like there's some small little things that can be done easily. But even then on the claims aspect, you can make sure you're staying in contact with your clients. Becoming more of a consultant to those clients is going to be critical. Being a consultant, in my opinion, even if my rates are higher than Heath's, but I'm talking to my clients more, I have more of the conversations, I'm sending over the thank you cards or the birthday cards. Do you think that they're going to want to go to someone else who doesn't do that, even if their rates are less? I don't think so. If you give me top-notch service, I'm staying with you as long as I can, and I am not going to shop around. That's what I have found out from other, agencies of providing more of that consultative approach, not just being the agency down the block in that case.
Okay, so let's do this real quick then. Let's take 5 or 6 minutes. Let's walk through. Let's say, I'm walking in to the Larocca agency for that matter, and I'm going through your stages. I'm a new prospect. What's going to happen as I walk through your stages? So I come in, I'm a new prospect. What's the first automation that you've got canned, and what's that going to look like as you walk me through?
Sure. So let's just say you walk into the door. Let's
Or
say
like
this.
phone call,
You call
prospect.
me in.
Yeah.
Let's go better
Yeah.
that way. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you call in. I'm going to the top right-hand corner of my screen, and when I speak to other agents, usually it's more of, we have a form intake that we take down and we write everything down, right? But AgencyZoom, you call in, I answer. I can answer from AgencyZoom because we integrate with the voice over IPs, and then we have the form intake inside of AgencyZoom. You jot down all my information, my contact information, let's just say what I'm looking for, my address, all that stuff, right? Loading it into AgencyZoom, and then
So you've got all my information in the AgencyZoom.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. So we load them into AgencyZoom, load them into, let's say, the prospecting personal lines pipeline. And then from there, I'll have a text message to send out to you to say, thank you very much for calling into the Larocca agency for today. Give us a little bit of time. We're going to get back to you with a quote. That email will send out then, or that text message.
So that goes out like right after we hang up the phone, pretty much. Then it's like an instant thing. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So that's where we'll load that lead in. Email sent out automatically right away, or you can tailor it to come about maybe a couple hours later on in the day. You get to pick and choose. And then let's just say you drag them over to the quoted process. So maybe we go through the carrier, go through whatever carrier ABC in this case, drag them to our quoted section inside of AgencyZoom. And then from there, you can set up a task or reminder for you or for the producer that's working on that opportunity to make sure we're adding the quote inside of AgencyZoom. So let's just say you work with your rater, you work with PL Rater, Easy Links Rater, Turbo Rater, whatever it may be in the personal side. We can integrate with them too inside of AgencyZoom. So then that quote will be brought back from the rater into AgencyZoom, and from there we can have an automated email to send out to say, hey Heath, thanks for getting the time to meet with us yesterday in this case. Here's your quote. And then we can include the quote into an automated email or a text message to follow back up. So and like you mentioned I mentioned to you when you called in for asking for an auto quote, I'll get back to you by the end of today. Well, that's what we're doing. And we can do that with automation and customized workflows. But now, if I texted you and we're on this call, right? We're doing a podcast right now, but you don't have time to follow back up until 2 o'clock or maybe the following day. But then, you get your kids involved, and then maybe you forget to follow back up with me. The next day, I'm gonna have another email to say, hey, Heath, did you open up my email yet? Did you open up that quote yet?
Yeah.
And then again, if you don't respond back, if you start ghosting me, I'm going to have another cadence or another email or call to make sure we are reaching out to you. We don't forget about our opportunities. And AgencyZoom, I would say our number one, outside of feature-wise, we like to make sure that no lead or no renewal falls through the cracks because of the automation that we can provide for your agencies.
So I'll stop you right there just because I know there's still more to get into. But the first thing I would say on that, for those that are listening and for you and I talking about this right now, it may sound like just a small thing to get that text message when I hang up the phone from calling. But let's say your prospect has called 7 agencies today to get a quote, or in the last week. You may be only one of those 7 or 2 of those 7 that sent a text message to say, thank you for reaching out to the Larocca agency. Sorry, words are hard today. But, thanks for reaching out to the Larocca agency. You'll have a quote soon. But 6 of the other agencies they called, or the 3 or 4 of the other ones, they didn't get that. That's going to put you above everybody else, because instantly they're going to be like, oh, wow, I didn't get a text from the State Farm agency, the Farmers agency, the whatever agency, or the Smith agency. I got one from Larocca. So that automatically rises you to the top, in my opinion. So that to me it may seem small, like, whatever, but I think it's huge. Whether you have AgencyZoom or not, whether you have a CRM or not, I think that needs something to be add in. Obviously, AgencyZoom would be a good way to start there, but I think that's crucial. Then also getting that email after, that goes out, or they say, hey, we're going to send you your quote, or here's your quote. The other thing I think is cool that I've talked to a lot of people about in their CRM, and I'm sure Zoom does this too, is AgencyZoom. Sorry, you can also integrate with like a Loom or some sort of video that you could send a video as well. To say if you're into that sort of thing, when you look as good as Matt, you might want to be on video, and you could say, "Hey, my name is Matt Larocca. Here's your quote," and you can walk them through a screen share, 30-second video. I'd love to talk to you. Again, that's just an extra touch that somebody else may not be doing. And so I'm sure, do you guys integrate with those, Loom?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so we do integrate, right? But first off, Heath, I mean, I just want to say, first off, your SCO jacket, right? Our sales kickoff jacket that you had last 2
the
weeks
orange
ago,
jacket.
that orange, that thing was popping. I loved it.
Yeah,
so I'm
dude.
gonna give you the credit for that one. I loved it. And also got the boots on too. I know this stuff. I know you got going on over there.
I saw you with your suit as well. We were rocking the suit game. I got you. No, I love a good jacket and a good suit, man, for sure.
Agree.
But no, I think you were dead on. Go ahead.
Yeah. So just going back into that on the Loom video, right?
Yeah,
so with Loom video, AgencyZoom, we integrate with them, right? And
yeah.
When you quote them, every single quote. So let's just say if you have, I'm quoting Heath and I have 3 different quotes from 3 different carriers, we can have the Loom link included each one. So I can start recording and send that out from AgencyZoom. I don't need to leave our system. And that's the beauty of what we do provide. I mean, we integrate with so much with our open API that we have. Think about it. Most common, email, your phone provider, your management system, a rater. We integrate with your website, a web intake form, Loom video in this case is another one. I mean, that's 7 different pieces of technology that are all embedded into AgencyZoom. Not all built in, but we can integrate, right? So everything you work on inside of AgencyZoom will then send out to the other systems as well. But like you said, providing not just being that consultants and even providing that personal touch on like the Loom video that you mentioned, that goes a long way. And being able to then say, oh man, Heath is taking the time out and actually walking me through my quote. Because as someone who's outside of insurance, who doesn't know much about quotes or your coverages, and you could tell me and walk me through and show it to me, I mean, you're going to be the top agency in your area, bar none. No matter what.
Completely agree. One of the other things I've coached, sales in agencies for a long time, and I've, done some consulting with, sales professionals. And one of the things that I talk about a lot, and, I've consulted in a lot, is the touch points to get a sale. No longer can you just, pick up the phone. A lot of people think you can just call somebody, get a quote, sell, close them in, one or two calls. No, it takes sometimes 7, 8, 9 touch points before you can finally close that deal. At AgencyZoom, or a CRM, however you want to look at it, is helping you to get there, because, I just think before you had a CRM, maybe you may have called 18 people or had 20 people call, and you didn't have time to get back to all of them, or you didn't think about it.
Correct.
And your, hit ratio, your closing ratios were a lot lower. Now, with the use of automation and the use of some of this, your numbers are through the roof now. And I don't know if you guys see that as well, but that's just an added bonus to having that, is those extra touch points.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the way I like to look at it, and everyone laughs at me every time I bring this up on a call, is that when I speak to an agent, I mean, they have so much going on. They have to worry about everyone else, but they don't work. Sometimes they've not gonna say forget, but maybe they push it off of how many times they're gonna be reaching out to that opportunity for prospecting in this case, right? So in that case, we like to make sure we have multiple touch points to send out for those prospects or even for those renewals.
Yep.
And you could be doing this. And then for me personally, I'm a golfer. I like to be outdoors, like do everything. I could be on the golf course and I can have 100 emails or 100 text messages send out to prospects, and we're just sitting, or I'm on the golf course, probably getting a bogey or double bogey in this case. But then from there, I can have all that being done. So you could work from anywhere in this case, or you could work at any time. It's like having, I'm gonna take it from a farmer's district manager. His name is Matt Woke. He recorded a video for me, and it was lovely. He talked about how AgencyZoom could be like an additional producer CSR for you, where you're not just it's not just another someone else asking for a raise, asking for 401k, for PTO, right? No, we're going to be here for you 24/7. Any CRM will be here for you in that case then. So it's a huge and an advantageous tool for every business that is trying to gain new business to have a CRM. I mean, like we'd love to throw a love for AgencyZoom specifically, but having a CRM is going to be absolutely critical for any business owner in that case then too.
Yeah, and then the other thing you brought up that I liked as we move through this is you talked about not letting any prospect fall through the cracks, and I think that's, again, going back to those touch points, going back to those things. But what I do love, is having a pipeline set up specifically for, maybe quoted not sold, or quoted and ghosted. I mean, I've talked to a lot of agencies that have a whole ghosted, pipeline. And so, and then you just nurture them through, and then maybe it's 6 or 8 months later, and sometimes they may pick up the phone and call me like, hey, sorry, I went with another person, this happened, whatever. Now it's been 6, 8 months, a year, maybe my rates are going through the roof, I'm coming back. But had you not nurtured them, they may not ever came back.
Exactly. And I think that's a huge selling point, right? And from us, we have, it's like for X dates, it's called our smart cycle, where then let's just say Heath, you just like, I'm gonna use exactly your example. You just told me, hey, I'm gonna went with someone else, but my renewal date now, because it's gonna be, let's just say December 1st of 2024. Yeah. So I'll circle you back around. But in the meantime, I'm going to have additional touch points. Maybe if it's a newsletter, maybe it's just Heath just being Heath and just sending out some wacky email or wacky text message just to make sure you're staying engaged. But then when that time comes back around, I will then it will automatically re-add you into my prospecting pipeline to say 2 months before your renewal date. And we could say, oh, I know your renewal date's coming around. How's everything going? How are the rates? Do we need to shop around? Whatever we need to do. But again, you are becoming more of that consultant because you know the time frame of when the renewal is coming back around. You know their policy. You know them, and they know you because they see Heath's email or Heath's text message coming through every single month. And that's where I believe having the automation is going to be critical. And we see agencies grow by 40% in their first year just because of the automation that we do provide for those agencies too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're dead on there. And what I think is critical. And I've talked to people about this, and like, you know what, you're right when I bring this up, but I'm right a lot. I have to tell my wife that.
Oh
But
God.
I'm just kidding. No, but like right now, yeah, we're in a hard market, and people talk about, oh, everybody's shopping. We're in a hard market. We're in a hard market. If you rewind several years back when we were in a soft market, same damn conversation. Everybody's shopping. Everybody's wanting to shop. Everybody will move for $1, or everybody will move for $20, where people want to save the money. And so whether the rates are going up or the neighbor down the road or your other agency competition down the road is saving them money, people are always shopping. So again, having that nurture campaign, having those campaigns, having those touch points throughout the year, whether they go with you or not, which brings me to the other part. Let's say, Heath Sharon comes to the Larocca agency. I go through your pipeline. I go through your funnel, one of your wonderful CSRs, or, Matt himself sells me a policy. Now you can set up a whole nother set of pipelines, or like buckets, so to speak, of like, let's say 3 months later, after I've bound a policy with you, I may get an email or a text or a phone call from Matt that says, hey, how are things going? Did you get, did you get your policy? Did you get your ID card? Did you get this? Have you met our team? Have you talked to so-and-so? Here's pictures of my team. Or have you gone to our website? Did you know we also sell life insurance? Whatever it might be, but another touch point. And I don't know if you guys have those canned, or if that's something you talk to people about when you're setting up demos, or do you hear about, different campaigns people are doing?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So yeah, we do have an onboarding cadence of saying, "Hey, welcome to the Larocca agency."
Yeah.
Then we have another one that can include like a welcome packet
Yeah.
from an email. Then again, reaching out 10, 15 days later with a text message to say, just checking in, see how everything is going. Plus, to say, and you can customize obviously all of this, but let's just say if you wanted to have I wanted to ask Heath for a Google review. We can have an
Yeah.
automated email asking for
Bingo.
multiple Google reviews in this case. And then that
Bingo.
would propel you for the search engine optimization moving forward, right? So being able to manage that all inside of AgencyZoom from the onboarding, and you even mentioned, I know like there's a lot we could talk about here,
Man,
but
a
even on
lot.
the
Yeah.
cross-selling, but even for cross-selling, we can even pull a report saying, we want to go after all of our auto and no homes. We could pull that report and then load them into a cross-selling campaign. Because when I speak to agencies, they're looking to try to cross-sell, but they don't know how to. Or if they do, they find it to be a burden because it's still taking as much time out of their day to follow back up and pull those reports. With 3 clicks, I can have a list of all my auto no homes, pulling those
Yeah.
reports and loading those into a prospecting cadence, and I can start firing those off. And those are free leads. Free
Yeah.
leads because they know who you are and you know everything about them because of your current policy holder with them in this case. And that's where we can even automate that entire process for you guys. I mean, we do for prospecting, onboarding, X states, cross-selling, renewals, service claims, win backs. I mean, you name it, we can help manage that all
And
from
I love
AgencyZoom.
that, what someone brought up, it's kind of like having another employee, or, multiple employees. In that case, if it's another employee for renewals, another employee for prospecting,
Sure.
and so now your agency becomes, from, let's say 7 or 8 people to now you got 10 or 12 people when you start including that. And those people aren't like, I love not asking for a raise. They're not bitching about time off. They're not wanting this or that. It's just, I love that you bring that up, which brings me to another point. And I wanted to ask you about, let's say, again, let's use the Larocca agency. And let's say the Larocca agency decides they want to start buying other agencies, or
Ooh.
they want to grow by other locations.
Mhm.
What does AgencyZoom do there? Because let's say I buy an agency and they may not have a CRM, or they may have a different CRM.
Mhm.
What's going on there? What do you guys do in that situation? Or what are you seeing?
Oh, there's a lot that we can uncover there. But with AgencyZoom, if let's just say I was going to grow and I want to add 3 more locations, yeah, we could either set up another AgencyZoom account for those locations very easily. Let's say you acquired an agency that has, and let's just say you're on AMS 360, but the other one is on the other 3 are all on QQ Catalyst, right? But now we want to, but then they're not going to be able to talk back and forth with each other. But we have a solution with AgencyZoom that can make this as communicating all together as one. And we have a tool. It's actually a new platform called Enterprise or
Oh,
AgencyZoom
okay.
Enterprise, where from there, what we could do is, let's just say, the Larocca agency on top. It's the like the mothership in this case, and it has
Yeah.
all the data in there that is needed. But then if you have 5 locations, if you have 10 locations, if you have 20, you could have all those AgencyZoom accounts reporting into that enterprise account. So in a way, all the data coming over from the carriers, from those
Yeah.
agents, from the producers, what they're writing in this case, if they're utilizing the automation, back in, when I spoke to agencies in the past, it was more of, I have to log into multiple AgencyZoom accounts to check to see what they're doing. Or, hey, I have to then run a report from the carrier and it's once a month to get the information. Well, at the drop of a hat, you can log into AgencyZoom, your enterprise account, and you'll be able to see everything all in one solution. So you'll have the CRMs, and then
Yeah.
you'll have the mothership, the enterprise account that sits on top of that as well. So if you're buying locations and you want to streamline those processes and having everyone on the same page and speeding that process up, maybe AgencyZoom Enterprise might be an opportunity for you guys as well.
So yeah, if I am with a Larocca agency and I buy an agency, let's say they're on a different CRM, we won't name names. Do I need to convert over to AgencyZoom in order to use the enterprise, or the enterprise would eventually be able to connect to others, or how's that work?
Yeah, we can convert. So
Yeah.
let's say if you're on CRM number 1 and you want to be on AgencyZoom, we can extract that data from your from the CRM, and it's going to be on a CSV file, so we can load that over. Also, what we could do, make things easy for you. If you have all the data inside your management system, and if AgencyZoom integrates with them, we can load the data from your management system into AgencyZoom, and that's all done on one onboarding call with our staff. But on the CRM aspect, if you have multiple CRMs that are not AgencyZoom, we can import the data on a CSV file very easily. And let's just say this, because I want to make sure, not just from bringing on people, but let's say if you decide to go a different route and you sell the agency, or maybe that you don't want AgencyZoom anymore, you can export the data from AgencyZoom as well. And you can always move that data to go anywhere else. Hopefully that's not the case that people leave, but
Right. No, but I get it.
yeah, but I wanted to make sure, because we're not just housing your data. I mean, you could load that information in at any time, and you can load it and you can unload it from AgencyZoom. We don't hold on to the data, which is the best thing about it too.
But yeah, but I do like that. Let's call it the mothership. Larocca agency is up here. They've got, let's say, 7 locations across the state or the country for that matter. You can look in the mothership, from what it sounds like, you can peek into and look at any of the pipelines as a whole, and you can see, okay, my Akron location has 47 accounts renewing, and then my Franklin, Tennessee location has 10 or 15, and I've got this, and I got that. But oh man, it looks like my Louisiana location's struggling right now. Maybe I need to get a new producer there, or maybe I need to do this or do that, or maybe we need to tighten up some things, or maybe make some different things going on, or maybe, I don't know, a coastal location had a big storm come through. We need to send out an automation there. You could control all that from the mothership and wherever.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
You could build out those workflows inside of the enterprise account, and then sending that over to each location. I'll use the coastal example. Hurricane comes through. You have some just to make sure, hey, checking in on everyone to see everyone is going. You would just build out that campaign inside of the enterprise account, and we could publish that to, let's just say, the coastal location, and you can send that out to all of your customers just like that. And that's how simple this all can be. It's just everything would work cohesively as one unit. You just have the different AgencyZoom accounts operating as their own. But for the enterprise account, you'll be able to then segment the automation into the multiple locations, and we can even pull reports from the carriers, right? So let's just say we're writing majority of our insurance through, let's say, through Hagerty. I'm making something up, right? But through Hagerty, and maybe that Hagerty wants you to increase those numbers, right? Maybe we want to then speak to the Hagerty location because they do well with Hagerty, or maybe that location ABC is not doing well with Hagerty, but you want to be able to help. So you build the automation. You then work with the Hagerty, you work with the coastal location to say, what are you guys doing? What's your best practices? And then you implement that into the other locations as well to pick up the pace. And that's where we can easily grow. And that's where, and I mentioned this earlier on to you before we even hopped on. I spoke with, all these different networks at the INA conference out in Fort
Yeah,
Worth earlier on this week, and they have all the data, and I was speaking with them, it's more of, what are you guys doing with the data, right? You have the data sitting there in front of you on your second monitor, but how are you implementing that into those agencies to help them grow, right? I'm maybe they are using AgencyZoom, maybe they're using another CRM, but pulling that data to create those campaigns and strategically go at specific markets, that all can be done inside of enterprise. And taking that data
that's cool.
and operating with the automation as the CRM, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a no-brainer, but it's a tool where you
Yeah.
can make sure you're capitalizing and being ahead of everyone else in your entire market.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So you mentioned, being at INA and some of the things you've talked about. What are some of the other conversations you had as you're out there? Because you get a good sample size when you're at those type of things of different
Yeah.
size agencies, enterprise agencies, all the way down to smaller agencies, all the way to mid-size. What do you see in best practice wise, or what are some of the things you saw at INA that you could discuss with us in a few minutes?
Yeah, of course. So no, it was a lot of conversations. We met with me and our networks team with Justin Lair and Dylan Braun. We met with about 10 to 11 networks in this case. We're chatting it up and just finding out what they're doing for their agents. And a lot of it, like I mentioned, they have the data, we have it all, and that's something that we're going to do with their data. We're going to then change a couple of things up. We have some new goals, but I asked them, like, what are you doing with the data? And some of them are just saying, oh yeah, we have something to put in place, or we'll share it with our growth coaches, but we want to make sure you're sending it over to the agents though. And
Yeah.
that's where I think that data is gold, but applying that data will make this even more a stronger gold in this case. I don't know if that's even possible, but just making something else and
Yeah.
just adding on to that data and becoming more of a network that is a consultant, providing that for those networks as well is going to be absolutely critical. But yeah, by speaking with those networks, I mean, it was really fun and kind of eye-opening for myself to see how they're operating, what their plans are going to be. And it's helped me just like I said before, we're always trying to learn, trying to gain more knowledge in this case, and speak with other tech vendors and what they're doing. I mean, there's a lot of neat information, a lot of new tech that's coming out that is going to change the market for the better, for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things as we start to wrap up a little bit. One of the coolest things I've noticed since I've been here at Vertifor, and you've been here a little bit longer than I have now that you've come over here to Vertifor from the Zoom side with the sale there. It's cool to see how many different pieces of tech connect. We
Yeah.
talk about whether it's the Orange Partner Program with Vertifor, or we talk about, as you mentioned, several pieces of tech that integrated with Zoom before you even got here.
Yep.
I mean, it's really cool to see all those puzzle pieces that can come together. And again, your agency, if you're listening to this right now, I'm talking to you. Your agency is different than the guy that's down the street listening to the Insurance Town podcast or the guy up the road. So, I mean, you got to figure out what puzzle pieces fit for you best.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
that's super cool to see, that going on in our industry. And people are scared of it. Matt and I are here to tell you, it's not here to hurt your agency, but to help you, to enable you to focus on the things you do best.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%, and I think that's even more critical too, because when you speak to agencies all the time, it's more of, okay, I gotta add a whole nother solution to my tech stack, right? I gotta go through this entire process, going through, or I'm switching to a different management system. Yes, it could be back surgery to start off. It really could be, and I won't sugarcoat it. But the one thing is, once we have that implemented, and we have our consultants over here at Vertifor, we have our consultants with the AgencyZoom team. We try to make this test as smooth and easy of a transition for everyone. And yes, it's going to be a little bit painful to start off and getting everyone acclimated, just like anything else you do in your agency. But these are all tools to help you guys propel and becoming successful by bringing on new clients and holding on to your clients year after year. And it doesn't have to be just an AgencyZoom. You could be talking about a new voice over IP. That could be a pain to switch, but maybe this voice over IP can have the call recording stored somewhere specific, right? There's a lot of changes that are going to happen, but working with the consultant and finding out like more trusted sources, definitely go check the reviews no matter where you go. I always think of that from when I go to restaurants as well. Check the reviews, obviously, but check the reviews because you never know what you're going to find. but there might be something else down around the corner that has something else that can really propel you guys to be successful year after year after year in this case.
Yeah, a couple more quick things I want to get into as we're talking about this. It's so important as you're building your tech stack to make sure, that you have whether it's a Vertafore product or not, whether, it's a CRM or an agency business, to make sure that they are integrating with, your software. So when you're shopping, talk to me a little bit about integration and the power of connectivity and integration when you're looking for a piece of tech.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's probably the most important piece of whenever you're finding anything to do with technology is, does it integrate with your current systems? Now, with AgencyZoom, like I mentioned before, we can integrate with multiple solutions, multiple management systems, your emails, your raters, your phone providers, websites, web lead providers that are, you're purchasing leads in this case, right? The integrations are going to be critical. The less amount of clicks and the less amount of screens you have to have open is going to be critical, because your producers and CSRs do not want to be going into multiple screens. They want to be inside of one solution, and that's personally for me too. I want to be in one solution. I don't want to go into multiple systems. So even if you're an agency, you're looking to buy other locations, you could even find out what those agencies are doing. If they have everything properly integrated, I mean, shoot, that's going to increase the value of that agency right off the bat as well. And then, like, as the producers and CSRs, they could say, oh, it's easy. I could work here. I don't need to go in multiple systems. I have two clicks and I'm done, right? And the integration is critical for you to move forward as well. I mean, there's a lot that we could say, hey, you have your phone ready, you have your email ready, and as a producer or as a seller, that's all I really need to move forward. If that's working correctly, I'm good. All right. Yeah. And the integration is going to be critical for everyone, obviously, in the agency to work together as one unit.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate that. Now, we've talked a lot about CRMs and whatnot, and we tried to be generic. We also talked a little bit about Zoom, and you brought up quite a few things with Zoom. Is there anything we left out? Is there anything as we close up shop here and, walk out of this episode? What are some things we might have forgotten or left out, or you wanted to bring up about Zoom that we didn't? We got into enterprise, talked about automation. We talked about a lot of cool stuff, but what are some of the other things you might want to bring up if there's anything?
For sure. So one of the things I will mention that's nothing to do with our product, the actual AgencyZoom specific, but I wanted just to give even a shout out to our customer success team and our customer service team with AgencyZoom. And I've read a lot of the comments in there that it was sometimes a little bit of a struggle once in a while, and everyone wants to make sure we're reaching out to the proper people. But we've done a fantastic job where our team is now onboarding as many people as we possibly can. And they're speaking to agencies, 4 or 5 agencies per day, between 4 to 5 different customer success managers. We've opened up those opportunities even on customer service to providing more quicker responses. So I wanted just to make a shout out to our team too, because I've seen the comments, I've seen the negative repercussions once in a while that come through, but we have turned that thing right around. And it's been a huge benefit for AgencyZoom, because from when I first started, it was, is anyone going to answer the phone? Is anyone going to respond back to me? Now it's so quick. It has really helped me as a seller then with AgencyZoom to become more confident of what we're able to then push to these agencies. Because if they're walking into AgencyZoom for the first time, they need someone to hold their hand to make sure everything is running smoothly. So our team, bar none, has molded into what we need to be for today. And I just want to give a shout out to our team. Other than that, specifically for AgencyZoom product feature, I think we covered quite a bit of what we have to offer, but I just wanted to give a shout out to our team on that as well.
Dude, that's awesome. So for my listeners here at Insurance Town, if they wanted to get in touch with somebody at AgencyZoom to learn more and get a demo, maybe you could, give me some direction there.
Sure. Yeah, of course. So if you're looking for a demonstration with AgencyZoom, you go to agencyzoom.com. There's a book a demo link in the top of that screen. And then you could book a demonstration, either be a group demonstration or a one-on-one call with either myself or one of our other account executives, Dante, and we'll be able to walk you guys through our AgencyZoom. And then also, You could always start in the top right-hand corner. You could always go to the start for free button. We do provide a free trial for you, and you can go either month to month as well with the Agency Zoom. So you can go to the top right-hand corner. If you've seen demos in the past, top right-hand corner, start for free, and you'll get a free trial with Agency Zoom as well. But yeah, and then also, and another piece is we do also have a Facebook group that if you do choose to sign on with Agency Zoom, or if we have some active Agency Zoom customers that are listening in, join our Facebook group too, Agency Zoom user group on Facebook. There's over 2,500 agencies that are on there that are speaking left and right and talking a lot about what they're doing inside of Agency Zoom. Maybe some new features. Maybe, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? Another, it's not silent. Agencies in there, not just us. Agencies are interacting with each other through there as well. I think that would help out because
Dude,
you can hear from a seller all the time to say, hey, Agency Zoom is great, but you want to be able to hear from your peers.
Yeah, that's a big value add, man. I appreciate you bringing that up. So, and then your email address is that?
Yep. M Larocca, MLAROCCA @vertifor.com. So yeah, you can always reach out to me through there. And yeah, you can go right into my calendar right through there as well. So that's perfect.
Perfect. Man, thank you so much for hanging out. The time went by way too fast. I'm so glad that we finally got to do this. We connected, several years now. We're working together now, and now we've done a podcast together. We're going to be doing some other podcasts together. So thank you again so much for hanging out, and I'll talk to you soon, and we'll go from there.
All right, well, Heath, yeah, thank you very much for having me on, and thank you for letting us promote a little bit about Agency Zoom, and thank you obviously for having us all on. Really do appreciate it.
All right, brother. Thank you.